at my elementary, there wasn't a lot of bad stuff. My elementary was called Arnold Elementary. I don't know if a lot of y'all know what that is. A lot of y'all probably don't. I don't know if a lot of people that listen to this are from where I'm from, my hometown. But Arnold Elementary, we didn't have a lot of fights. Fighting didn't happen. Fighting didn't happen. We just didn't do it. There was no fights at my elementary. But then this one kid came in. I remember his name was Andrew. He looked kind of tough. He was a little tough dude, a little shorter. I was a pretty tall kid in elementary, but he was a little shorter. And I remember this guy. Like this guy got down and dirty. He was fighting everybody. He used to just start fighting random fights like everywhere. That's all he ever talked about was fighting. I think me and him kind of had like a little, maybe like he bumped into me. I don't know. I don't remember what happened between that, but he was causing a ruckus. A ruckus. Like he single-handedly, one person single-handedly made our whole school kind of gangster, man. Like, he started walking around. I started walking around like I was in the streets of LA for a little bit. I got kind of wild. I was like, kind of like, I don't even know what happened. Like, I might have been walking to class and I might have accidentally said gang, gang or something. Like, I don't know. I was just 7, 8 years old. What do I know? What do I know? But this Andrew kid kind of got everyone going. And that was interesting. Thinking about that, like, one person single handedly flipped our whole school around. That was crazy. But yeah. When it came to like, and I think it was pretty interesting too in elementary. Like when you thought about like guys and girls, like people would date anyone. Like in elementary, everyone dated everybody. Like that was like kind of the thing. Like you would just rotate. And like, oh, I'm gonna date you for 2 weeks. I'm gonna date you for a week. That's kind of what elementary was. But then I remember when people started kissing. That was crazy. That was crazy. Like, and I didn't. That was like a whole different universe. It's a whole different universe. You didn't hear about that kind of stuff a lot. Like, oh, did you hear that brand? Oh my gosh, did you hear that? Oh, I'm trying to remember two people that kissed. Oh, do you remember when Brandon kissed Harley? Oh my gosh, like that was like a wild thing. If someone kissed, there was some big trouble. You get in some big trouble if you kiss somebody. Like you get in someone would be coming your way. You get a good phone call to your parents back then. That was a big deal if you were doing that kind of stuff. The no kissing here, no kissing at my elementary. That's what they would always say. We're not doing none of that. No smooching. We don't smooch. Gosh, I remember uh, there was this guy. There was this guy that would impersonate Michael Jackson, and he was actually so good. I was in second grade, and there was this kid that came to our school named DeMarco. This was like the closest thing to a celebrity we had at our school. He was like a popular runner. I know he like ran for like the like I forgot what it is where it's like Team USA, but it's not really Team USA. It's just kind of like the kids, like I think it was like 14U stuff like that. It's like the younger kids, and it's like representing Team USA kind of. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it was in track. Remember, this guy was like so popular. Everyone wanted to talk to him. I even kind of like, I fangirled a little bit. I think that's what you call it. I was like talking to him all the time. I wanted to be cool, and DeMarco was cool, and I wanted to feel cool. So I was like always talking to him. I was still a shy kid, so like I didn't have my moments. But for us, in school, the real cool thing, especially in second grade, was if you got to partner up with someone. Like, oh, partner up and work on this assignment together. So everyone wanted to partner up with DeMarco. So what I did was I tried to work on good writing because it was like whoever wrote really good got to partner up with the good writers partnered up with the good writers. So everyone would line up and go up to DeMarco and be, hey, DeMarco, can you work with me? Can you work with me? Please, DeMarco, work with me, work with me. So I came up and one day he chose me. He chose me, baby. And I remember people were bashing me. There was some haters, man. People were like, "Oh, he writes so small. Oh, he doesn't even write like that." I think if somebody even said like he writes like a girl. I remember some people said I had eyelashes like a girl, so that was like a diss. They would thought I'd be like, "Oh, his eyelashes are like a girl," and I got kind of offended, man. I was like, "What are we doing? Don't be hating on me, man." DeMarco picked me today, so me and DeMarco we worked on that assignment. But the talent show came around, and DeMarco performed Michael Jackson. Like he was like one of those guys that impersonate his dance moves and everything. And he came out to Billie Jean, and he was incredible. He was incredible. Like that was like one of the first times I saw someone really dance, and I was like, wow. And that inspired me. I wanted to start dancing to Billie Jean. No, I wanted to start being that cool guy. But There was a big issue. The issue was that I couldn't dance. That was the issue, and it's a pretty big issue if you want to dance to Michael Jackson. So what I would do, and this was like so stupid now that I think about it, whenever we go to like, parties or anything like that, people would have like their little like, I think like quinces and stuff like that. I wasn't sure. I don't remember how many quinces I went to, but what I would do is I would get on the dance floor. I'd have my Michael Jackson hat on. I think I have it right here. This bad boy. I would wear this. I'd put that on and I would just start throwing my feet everywhere. Like I would just like start just wiggling my legs, throw my feet everywhere. I look stupid. It was so stupid. And I would just be like, I'll do that for every single song. Like I just like start throwing my feet. I started throwing my body around. I was like, oh, I was just letting it take me. I was letting the music take me. And people were like, oh my gosh, that guy could dance. But I'm pretty sure everyone was lying to me. Because when I look back on videos, it was like me just wobbling everywhere. And it was pretty horrible. I don't know if there's any footage of that. I will be happy if there's no footage of that. But I'm pretty sure there is. So yeah. Yeah. Remember one time, actually, a good story about this hat. One time I went to school dressed as Michael Jackson. I went to school. It was like dressed as like your favorite celebrity or something like that. It was third grade. I came dressed as Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. That's what I told myself. I had this hat on. This is my uniform. I actually have the picture of the fit. Here it is right here. Boom. But I went to school dressed as Michael Jackson. I remember I was at school and I was enjoying it, man. I was so excited. Like you don't know how people are going to perceive you. Like you're kind of nervous about it because you got to get into the gym. You got to sit down in those long lines. I don't know if they still do that. But I'm pretty sure they do. But it's like you have the line with all the classes, and that's how you start your day. You go and you sit in that line, and that's when everyone sees what you're wearing today. That's when everyone sees what you look like today, what you're bringing to the table. So I had my Michael Jackson fit on, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, who are you supposed to be?" And I was like instantly like, "Who do you think I am? Like, who else would I be?" And everyone started calling me Bruno Mars, and I didn't know who Bruno Mars was at the time. I just was like, "I'm not Bruno Mars. I'm Michael Jackson." And I started crying, man. I started crying a storm because I wanted to be Michael Jackson, but everyone called me Bruno Mars. And even thinking about that now, it made me sad. And now I know who, like, obviously, like, after a while, I learned who Bruno Mars was. And I was like, oh, this guy isn't bad. But during this time, Bruno Mars was still like, he was still starting his career. He still only had a few songs out there. He wasn't this as big as he ended up being. Like, Bruno Mars. I remember the first time I saw Bruno Mars, it was on my little TV. I had a little TV in this room actually. It was like literally like right over here in this little area right here. I was getting ready for school, and this is when they used to play a lot of music videos on TV. So I remember, I forgot what channel it was, but they started playing. Was it "Sex Takes Me to Paradise"? That one, that one right there. Like you make me feel like I'm locked out of heaven. Like that one is like one of the original songs. Remember, it was that music video. That was the first time I ever saw Bruno Mars on my TV because I think that was like one of the only songs he had out at the time. And then he came out with like Treasure, and then when I was in fifth grade, he came out with Uptown Funk, and that was big. That was a big song that came out. Remember, that was like one of those first like big bangers that came out. We were all hitting the dance floor of that one, Uptown Funk. Everyone got